What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. On this week's weekly one-shot, I'm going to be talking about the hot comic books coming out for December of 2017, so that way you know what to pick up at the comic book shop. So, the first book that I want to talk about is James Tynion and Jim Lee's Immortal Men #1. Wait a minute, that was delayed. Okay, so I want to talk about Damage #1 by Robert Venditti with art by Tony Daniel. No, that was delayed too. So what about the silencer was delayed. So, DC's New Age of Heroes, due to delays inside DC's Dark Knight's Metal, has been pushed back until the January-February timeframe, with possibly one issue coming out at the beginning of January. But really, at this point in time, according to solicitations that were released back in September, we should be on DC's Dark Knight's Metal #5, and we haven't even received issue #4. So DC's Dark Knight's Metal issue #4, that's definitely something to look out for, but really let's focus on Batman 36 and 37, which begins the Super Friends arc. So this is when Batman tells his best friends, the members of the Justice League, that he's engaged to Selina Kyle's Catwoman. So this is definitely something that you're going to want to check out, just for how Tom King writes the reactions of Superman and Wonder Woman, but that's going to be taking place in a much later arc. Other arcs that you kind of want to catch up with would be Action Comics 993 and 994. So this is going to be reintroducing Booster Gold into the DC Rebirth continuity as he kind of goes and guides Superman through the time stream after he jumped on the Flash's cosmic treadmill at the end of last issue of Action Comics. So it's definitely a very interesting series you should be keeping up with. Also talking about Superman, we are going to get the end of the Imperious Lex story arc in #36, but in #37 we start a small event that really focuses around Jonathan Kent and the Super Son of Tomorrow. So when we're talking about Super Son of Tomorrow, it's going to be Superman #37, Super Sons #11, I think, Teen Titans is going to cross over into it, and then Superman again, and this is about the Batman of Tomorrow coming back to take out John Kent. Obviously, he presents a threat to somebody in the future, and that's not really sitting well with the Batman of Tomorrow. So that's going to be something that I must check out, and something I'm definitely going to recommend for you guys. On top of that, we also have Mr. Miracle #5 coming out, and Batman White Knight #3. Those are just two great books that take place inside or outside continuity, whatever your perspective, but they're just tremendous pieces of work. So definitely something that I'm going to recommend for everybody to check out. To finish things off at DC, we do have the Fourth World Omnibus, which is coming out. So this is basically Jack Kirby's collection of everything regarding the New Gods, and it's something that I'm going to be picking up. It's definitely something you guys should be checking out if you want to get everything. It's got the entire Jack Kirby run of Mr. Miracle, as well as a number of other different things. So I'm going to have a link in the description, so check that out if you want to. Jumping over to Marvel, there are a few different things to check out as well. So we have Venom Inc Alpha, which is going to be a crossover between Venom and Amazing Spider-Man. So starting in Venom Inc Alpha, we have Dan Slott, Mike Costa, as well as Ryan Stegman on the art. And that's going to kick off this little mini event, which is going to carry on through the next 2 or 3 issues of Amazing Spider-Man and the next 2 issues of Venom. Plus, there's an Omega that's going to be happening in January. The big emphasis on this is that it's pulling together all the serious candidates for the Venom symbiote into one place. So we're going to get Flash Thompson, we're going to get Eddie Brock, we're going to get Peter Parker. It seems like in this preview that we've received of this comic book that there's going to be some kind of faction that's hunting down the symbiotes as they kind of take out Mania. So it's a really interesting concept. I really enjoy the way that Stegman draws, Spider-Man. I'm really interested to see his Venom, and I want to see some, resolution to the storyline of Flash Thompson. I really enjoyed him as Venom, so I really hope that there's going to be a fair shake for this character inside this series. So definitely something that I'm going to be checking out, and something you guys should be checking out too. There's also a great Ryan Stegman Phoenix Spider-Man variant, which I've got up here, so that's just, it looks super rad. Speaking of the Phoenix, we do get the debut of Phoenix Resurrection #1, so this is the story of the return and resurrection of Jean Grey, the adult Jean Grey, not this time-traveling youth Jean Grey, but it's definitely going to be a cool book written by Matthew Rosenberg, and there's an art germ variant of that one, which I believe now has been labeled as 1 of 100, so it's going to be pretty rare to get your hands on one of these, so definitely something that you should be hunting for if you go to a higher volume comic book shop. A lot of smaller volume shops aren't necessarily going to have one of these on hand. Other debut issues coming from Marvel are going to be Marvel 2-in-1 #1, which is written by Chip Zdarsky. And so this is got the art by Jim Chung, and it's the story of the Human Torch and the Thing as they kind of search for clues to the whereabouts of Reed Richards, Sue Storm, and the rest of the Richards Fantastic Four family. The Future Foundation out there in the multiverse, the people that we, Valeria and Franklin, who we saw at the end of Marvel Legacy #1. So this is the story of kind of recapturing that family. It's going to be a really heavy story involving those folks, and it's going to include a lot of Doctor Doom, so I'm really excited to see where this one goes. There's a lot of potential for story, and I really want it to be a success. Another book that's debuting and that's worth checking out is definitely going to be Tales of Suspense number 100, which is going to be also written by Matthew Rosenberg, and this is about the story of Hawkeye and the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, tracking down what they believe to be Natasha Romanoff. So this is going to be the hunt for what happened to Black Widow after the events of Secret Empire, where she was her neck was basically broken by Hydra Cap. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of resolve this situation, whether she's going to remain dead or not remain dead. That's to be seen. But this is going to be the story that's going to tell that. And I really hope that this is a success, because Tales of Suspense can be a vehicle for a lot of different stories using smaller characters. So I'd really love to see this happen, where they could kind of downsize the overall Marvel lineup and use titles like Tales of Suspense, Journey into Mystery, or things like that, where they can partner up characters, or they can take characters and put them in certain situations for a limited one-arc story run, something along those lines. Somebody's got a good pitch for something that doesn't necessarily make a full comic book, and you don't want to run it as a miniseries, throw it in these, and you're fine. So I really want it to be a good vehicle, and I really hope that this tests out the waters and proves that they can continue to do this for the future. Of course, there are a lot of great continuing books that you should be picking up. My personal favorites are things like Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, which has issue 14 coming out. You've got Captain America 696. You've got Daredevil 596, which is continuing the excellent Mayor Fisk story arc. That one kicked off to a great opening, last month. And then also you've got anything pretty much from Matthew Rosenberg and Donny Cates. So Matthew Rosenberg's also writing Secret Warriors. He's going to be writing the Phoenix Resurrection storyline. He's going to be writing Tales of Suspense. Donny Cates is doing a phenomenal job, so he's going to be writing Thanos, he's writing Doctor Strange. So these are all books that should definitely be on your pull list. And how can I forget the Punisher? Yeah, Matthew Rosenberg's writing the Punisher and the War Machine armor too. So there's just so much good stuff by these young writers. When you cap it off with great books like Mighty Thor, which 702 is coming out, that's from Jason Aaron and Russell Dodderman, which is continuing the Death of Mighty Thor arc. There's just lots of great stuff coming out from Marvel, and a lot of potential storylines coming up, and you've got great works coming from Tom Taylor, and there's a whole... Marvel seems to be really reinvesting and recommitting to creating good stories. So I'm really hopeful for what they do, because when Marvel does well and DC does well, everybody does well. The comics industry as a whole is successful when both big two are firing on all cylinders, so I really want that to happen. When we're talking about independent comic books, we're going to have to go over to Image, where we have Rumble #1, which is reigniting a series that has happened before. You've got David Rubin on it. So that's going to be a pretty interesting story. And then you've got Paradisio #1, which is coming out as well, which is about this man with scattered memories of his childhood and some sort of device that can control the fates of everybody inside the city. I love Christian Ward's art. The thing is, he's only going to be the cover artist, so I'm not sure what to expect inside this book. But Kieran Gillen has some very kind words to say about it, so it's definitely something that I'm going to be checking out. On top of, other normal independent titles, you've got a lot of stuff that I enjoy that has kind of gone on hiatus for this point in time. So there's a few things that I can kind of test the waters with as far as independent titles right now. Also, we have something kind of entertaining in the Dynamite Entertainment Barbarella Re-Ignition. So Barbarella #1, which is coming out, is a story of a spacefaring chick, spacefaring lady, and she's got an infamous movie back in the 1970s, and Jane Fonda, I think, was the person that was the lead in that. It was just, I'm hoping for nonsensical, quirky, funny, outlandish humor and adventure in space. So it's definitely something that I'm going to try and pick up issue #1 of if I can get my hands on it. I can't expect to get my hands on it, but it seems like it's going to be pretty interesting, so I'm going to give that one a shot at least. And then, of course, if you are a fan of comic books and you're around comic book YouTube, you know who Jason Inman is, you know who Ashley V. Robinson, you know who they are, and they are releasing Jupiter Jet #1, which has been available for some time, but now it's available in comic book shops from Action Lab Entertainment. So Jupiter Jet #1 makes it onto my list. I'm not sure if I can get my hands on it, but I will try if it is available. So those are the comic books that I think that are hot and that you're going to want to watch out for in December of 2017. But I want to know what else is on your guys' watch list, so let me know in the comments down below and we can start that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.